Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. And this is Mysticism of the Sciences by Ernest H. Koch, Jr., FRC, an article taken from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 21, Number 4, May 1943. Mysticism of the Sciences by Ernest H. Koch, Jr., FRC. Rosicrucians soon realized that everything in the universe is vibrant and full of some form of God-given energy. Every electron, atom, molecule, and cell has its characteristic vibration. Nothing in the universe is at rest. We must understand that vibrations are sent out as waves in all directions into infinite space. You will say that we must be surrounded by countless vibrations. That is true. We become aware of a limited number of them through our objective senses. This is what is meant when we say we recognize light and color, words and music, taste and smell, heat and cold, touch and heaviness, cohesiveness and attraction. These are qualities which exist at the third point of the triangle, because vibratory objects are acting as transmitters at one point and responsive sense organs are acting as receivers at the other point of the triangle. We know there are rudimentary sense organs distributed over the entire body, as well as within every living thing. Therefore, we can understand that every living body, which may be deprived of vision, hearing, taste, and smell, can still sense vibrations sent forth by rocks, streams, and flowers, as well as by all creatures. Not only is this statement acceptable, but we must surmise that there are higher centers of sensitivity which function without the use of any objective sense organs at all. All substance is not the gross matter familiar to our senses. Is it not possible that the creating power of words has manifested itself in finer forms than man is able to recognize? Does it not make us happy to know that there are greater and finer worlds than those which have been revealed to us? Strange as it may sound, these worlds are all about us, and we have within us the matrix for fashioning the priceless key that can open up new vistas that no mortal eye has seen. The world is indeed an open book, but one in which every page is written in symbols and not letters. To the unlettered or uninitiated, it is a commonplace world. But to the mystical student, it is a revelation of precise and definite forms, so harmoniously coordinated that his discerning mind apprehends the essences of the beauty of life and mathematical laws of light and the subtle consciousness of divine love. Man expresses wonder and surprise when, through science, he learns that invisible light has been made to shed its glories in the visible spectrum, and that the radio has transformed the inaudible waves of the ether into the range of human audibility. In countless ways, our scientific achievements have their counterpart in the psychic and spiritual development of man. It was long after man just had learned to use his hands to provide food, shelter, and primitive weapons of defense that he received the first rays of illumination. Then man learned to make simple tools, and step by step, he made a particular conquest of earth, water, fire, and air. Then, with the added inner illumination, he produced inventions, evolved systems of controls, methods of research, and eventually organized his scientific knowledge. He was tardy in recognizing that the higher laws of spiritual and psychic man organized transcendent thoughts coming from cosmic consciousness. Can any thoughtful man go on discussing the futility of life unless he ignorantly or maliciously blacks out in the symbolic purpose of life? Man cannot destroy matter nor energy, nor can he destroy his own soul. He may impoverish the latter by denying sustenance of love and brotherhood. What then is the important lesson that every Rosicrucian must learn? Is it not that he or she must become an instrument of service by acting as a transformer in bringing the invisible light of the cosmic into the hearts of men, who though they have eyes see not, and though they have ears hear not? Many have been too willing to be driven by the tyrants of the mind instead of following the footsteps which lead to mastery. The control of cosmic energy. The energy flowing through alternating current circuits pulsates 60 times every second. If there is but one piece of apparatus in such a simple circuit, we may detect a note pulsating harmonically like that emanating from the plucking of a violin. But electric circuits generally have many pieces of apparatus placed in them, and collectively these pieces of apparatus cause the detection in the purity of the shape of the wave of the simple circuit as first described. Usually conditions in a circuit cause a more or less complex and irregular wave shape. You have doubtless seen this in an oscillograph if you happen to have sounded a word or even a vowel while standing before it. You are familiar with the click in the radio, or the flutter in the lights of your home whenever a fan or refrigerator is switched on or off. In the miles of telephone and telegraph lines, undesirable conditions arise and accumulate from time to time so as to interrupt the normal traffic of such service. Man, like the engineers of the service and utility companies, can learn to control the waves of human energy, which travel unceasingly from one part to another of his body. One must realize from what has been said that the shapes of human energy waves change momentarily. The trained mystical observer can differentiate the changing pulsations as well as the intensity and colors of the human aura. There are few conscious moments when our entire body is in harmony owing to the vicissitudes of life. Our psychic centers are very marvelous regulators, which automatically keep man's machinery in perfect operation as long as man does not interfere with their functioning. Is it not the same in the spiritual world? When we consider what may have been learned through cosmic attunement, you may readily agree that we can synchronize mechanical regulators to the apparatus which they control in an electric circuit or to traffic on the street. Cosmic energies are indeed of very high vibration and of great variety and complexity. Although man may not be able to transform cosmic energies low enough to manifest in a measuring instrument, he nevertheless does transform some of the cosmic energy so that it does manifest in the urges of unselfish love. Man has ingeniously devised a tube whereby an occasional captured cosmic ray may manifest itself indirectly by a flash in the tube. We are provided with intelligence whereby discoveries and inventions are made purposeful. Not only is this true in the narrower sense of utility, but also in that larger sense which suggests that we go over the threshold to seek the counterparts or analogues of the miracles of science in the realm of the psychic and spiritual worlds. Microcosm and macrocosm. When we think of the distance between the sun and other celestial bodies, we can visualize them better by making a scale drawing showing their relative distances. It is not so easy to comprehend the dictum of the mathematical physicist or the biologic chemist who tell us that the interstellar spaces between electrons are relatively greater than interplanetary distances. The world of the infinitesimally small things offers food for as much thought as do the great galaxies of large bodies in infinite space. Suppose we consider a box filled with pebbles. We are accustomed to say there are interstices or empty spaces between the pebbles which, for want of a better name, are known as voids. Paradoxically speaking, in these voids there are smaller particles of sand and dust with smaller voids between the finest particles. One could extend this idea indefinitely, each time imagining finer and finer substances occupying the smaller and smaller voids ad infinitum. Ultimately, we must reach the essence of the primordial spirit. In the vast fields between the myriads of interstellar bodies, empty space does not exist as substance, attenuated, if you wish, with its correlative energy pervades the universe. If the biologist is a mystic, he may think of hormones and catalysts fitting in between organic matter in a similar manner. The great masters may help us to remove our present mental limitations or reservations so that we may comprehend the profundity of the commonplace. One difficulty which retards our thought along these lines is that somewhere back in childhood we became imbued with the idea that all particles of solid matter were contiguous. We felt a degree of safety in anchoring ourselves to the land and rocks and hills in our environment, but nothing is fixed. Land rises and sinks as well as pulsates in the cycles of days. Land erodes and is carried to the sea, taking a little longer time to disappear than the iceberg does as it advances from icy to warmer waters. There are mystical laws which control the entropy changes at the critical temperatures when ice changes to liquid and when liquid changes to steamy vapor. And what may there not be beyond vapor? There is much to the statement which was not revealed when Shakespeare referred to the 7 ages of man. Cycles of life and reincarnation have their connotations which are analogous to the entropy of physical changes, as do all evolutionary changes, whether they be anthropologic, ethologic, or economic. The power of the triangle. One of the most satisfying gifts which the engineer has given the mystic is the concept that all structures have stability only as their members are assembled out of triangular parts. Look about you and note that all structures which you see present a lattice-like appearance, consisting of many little triangles. Squares, rectangles, and all other figures will rapidly change their shapes or collapse under slight pressure or stress. But a triangle of 3 rigid pieces of metal will not collapse, except it be utterly destroyed. A bridge, an open stepladder, or an erect human figure with outstretched feet are good examples of the inherent laws of the triangle. It was Dalton who showed how molecular structures also follow the law of the triangle. If you were to divide a circle into any number of equal segments and then join the successive points of division, you would form a polygon, which is described as regular. Thus we form the equilateral triangle when we take but 3 divisions on the circle, but we may proceed in like manner, forming the square, the pentagon and hexagon, and so on until we have drawn a regular polygon of many sides. If we now draw radii to the division points on the circle, the polygon is seen to be composed of as many triangles as there are sides. The triangle is indeed the basic figure out of which all other figures are built. Suppose we try to see which of these regular polygons we can fit together to make regular platonic solids, that is, solids having a number of surfaces or faces of the same shape and size. The simplest one is the tetrahedron or triangular pyramid whose base and 3 sides are equilateral triangles. Build one with 6 matchsticks. The trilon is an elongated triangular pyramid. The cube is the next solid in order, and as you know, it has 6 equal square faces. If you will look up polyhedrons in an encyclopedia, you will learn that there are 8-sided and 20-sided solids, all of whose faces are equilateral triangles. There is also a dodecahedron which has 12 regular pentagons for each of its 12 faces. Only 5 such regular solids can be constructed, and their faces are of 3 kinds, that is, either triangles, squares, or pentagons. The Pythagoreans as mystics made much out of these wonderful relations, but we moderns have gone beyond them when we speak of space of higher dimensions. In the 4th dimensional space, there are 6 solids. You know that we can discuss the higher spaces also, that is the space of the 5th, 6th, 7th dimensions and so on up to the highest dimension conceivable. In each of these higher spaces above the 4th dimension, we learn the remarkable fact that there are but 3 spatial figures having the sense of regularity. Not only does the mystical relations exist in the above-mentioned figures, but also in the structure of crystals and gems, as one may interpret from their reflections, refractions, and polarization. These thoughts stir up to a deeper sense of appreciation of the magnificence and magnitude of creation, and that the Word implied great and marvelous laws holding the microcosm and macrocosm in balance, harmony, and stability. In the intricate as it may seem, there are nevertheless invisible forces or streamlines of energy carrying vibrations from every individual speck of substance to every other speck of matter in the universe. As complicated as it may seem upon first consideration, it is not quite as bewildering as to behold the first view of 1,000 looms operating upon one floor of a large mill. Gradually one gets a close-up and sees that each thread and fiber is carefully placed in position, and as the shuttles fly back and forth, we see the fabric emerging in some preconceived but distinctive pattern. The looms of the Creator are seen in nature in the ever-changing forces of the globe upon which we live. Our lives are a part of that pattern, as we shall see. We have learned that everything in nature is active and there can be no dead matter. Characteristic vibration. Let us recall that every cell in the universe vibrates with some definite wavelength. Man is an aggregate of billions of cells. He too has a characteristic vibration which is a composite of all the active cells in his body. Since no 2 human beings may possess the same variety or total number of cells in their bodies, it is reasonable to say that they must differ in the characteristics of their vibrations. This is a difficult distinction for an untrained observer to handle. The universe is charged not only by emanations from our innumerable bodies, but also with the trains of thought which we send to and receive from the cosmic. Sometimes we send out waves of opposition, consciously or unconsciously causing an interference with the waves which should come to us from the cosmic. This is a state of mental instability and operates to prevent complete attunement. We are constantly intercepting some of the many waves which pervade all space. We become aware of this fact first through the objective senses, and secondly, but more subtly, through the subjective mind. We soon learn that we need not be fettered by space and time because these concepts are mental props, although they have been hanging onto them with a grim grip for fear of losing ourselves. They are conventional yardsticks for expressing such abstractions as continuity and duration. Space may be finite or infinite, just as you wish to define these words to your own satisfaction. The whole universe pulsates, as does any celestial body and terrestrial particle within. The universe may seem to expand at one time and to contract at another time. It depends upon your viewpoint. Pattern of the universe. It is important to realize that there is a pattern to the universe. Everything in the universe also has a pattern of its own, and it is at the same time a very small pinpoint in the great universal patterns. Evolution changes these little patterns, which are important in themselves, yet they ever remain an integral part of the great pattern. This is an axiom of the infinite, well known to the mathematician. When all learning is spread before us, it is not the materials and facts which should concern us, but rather their significance. They are but symbols on the path of wisdom and understanding. We are not disconnected because the ultimate in knowledge is unattainable. We desire illumination for strength of character so that we may become more sensitized to cosmic consciousness. We desire to use our creative thought for the establishment of happiness and the promotion of harmonium in the world. This is the true philosopher's stone which many of the alchemists of the Middle Ages failed to comprehend in their futile efforts to transmute base metals into gold. The recently developed science of the transmutation of elements required the building of enormous cyclotrons with tremendous electromagnets. To smash a single atom is not a science, it is an art. In the erudition of the mystics, it was long known that nature concealed many forces which are much more subtle than magnetism. The horizon of thought is an ever-increasing circle. Man has not yet seen the most beautiful sunrise nor the most significant and gorgeous sunset. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.